And if you have something that you would like to say about our subject tonight, have you been in that situation where you feel rejected or you feel left behind, or there's something that's happened within your family that you just feel, you know what, I'm never going to talk to this person again, no matter what someone else says to you? Or perhaps you've been in a situation where you've actually been there and the other person approached you first and you're so glad that they did. You know, and have you been in a situation where sometimes, you know, a lot of time goes by and you just even you forget what the problem was in the first place? As ridiculous as that may sound, years and years, you know, have gone by and you don't even know what it is you're not talking to them. Or perhaps you might have even carried a grudge because somebody else told you something. You know, and that happens a lot. You know, somebody else said something and so you haven't even approached the person. You just believed what this person has said and then, you know, the rift continues. There are lots of different situations. So whilst waiting for your calls, here's a couple of comments here. I just want to encourage someone tonight to tell them that I went through what you're talking about. I used to be so angry at my mom, but it's not worth it. She never had time to sit and speak to me. But when I realized that a lot of people are losing family, I had to let the anger go. No matter what your mom does, you do need to forgive them because the Bible says, honor your mother and father and your days will be well. Any comments on that?
Your mom is your mom, and there's no deeper love than
No
that.
deeper love.
No deeper love.
True,
and,
Amelia.
you know, I agree. You know, you need to let go because supposing your mom is, say, 86, for example, why hang on one day more? Because if something happens to her tomorrow, you'll never be able to forgive yourself. It's easier to forgive her, move on, and rekindle that relationship.
Okay, so I mean, Dean, as a man, have you heard stories where you felt, well, you know what? A lot of people have been commenting on what I said earlier regarding, you know, when you're a single parent. Most of the time, it's a female single parent as opposed to a male single parent.
Yeah.
Have you been in a position or a situation where you've actually heard children from single parent families maybe blaming one or the other, and you felt, well, you know what, this child doesn't really understand what they're saying or what they're doing?
Yeah, there are many I have encountered many situations where children were not successful, were not experiencing success because they look at other kids who are very fortunate to have both parents and succeed. But, you know, success is relative. Because in life, I've learned to love what you do and do what you love. And one thing my mother has taught me is to be content with what you have. So when you have to take a very close look as to, okay, well, you know, she loves me, she feeds me, she's caring for me, and she's there for me. So, you know, why should I blame anything that I go through in life because of my mother, and when I could be the change that I would like to see? You know, and I tell people, you have to be the change you want to see.
But you see, when we're dealing with children and young children, for example, their feelings are very confused. They don't know which way to turn. Suddenly their world is turned upside down, right? So they you know, they're not in a position to think as rational as we would like them to think.
Right.
You know?
Rationale, yes.
Yes. They cannot think the way an adult thinks.
Right. No, you're so right.
You know, they think, you know, they express how they feel, you know, in the way they behave. They manifest that in the way they behave, and in the way that they, yes, may blame another parent. You know, my mom is not there because of you. You know, and so this is their world. This is the world of the child. Yeah. But if we step outside it as adults, we can see how things can go. But for the child, no, they will not see it in that way.
Well, yeah,
so,
you're right in that point.
yes.
What about the situation where I found when parents say that they will never raise their children the way they were raised? That they will tell their children that they love them,
Yes.
they will not beat their children, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And you would have thought that if they say that they would do that. But I have seen situations where men whose fathers didn't tell them that they love them cannot tell their child that they love them.
Because they didn't grow up with that.
But you wouldn't. But even if they didn't grow up with that, they would have. They would have felt love to know that they're.
At some point, from somebody.
No, but
So why can't they tell them?
Yeah.
Because a child sometimes grows up thinking, my dad doesn't love me because dad hasn't told me.
yeah, so whoever it is that's their caregiver, the primary caregiver, has never said that to them. So, you know, when we begin to parent our own children, we sometimes rely or fall back on how it is that we were parented in order to parent our children.
Okay, and I need to stop you there, and that's a really interesting point, just because we have a call, and I don't want our caller to go away. Hello, welcome to Dolor Factor Live. Thank you for calling.
Hello, yes, good night.
Good
You
night.
have a very interesting program tonight.
Thank you.
And I hope some mothers are learning because Mother's Day is round the corner. You know, some parents, some mothers, I don't like what they are doing because especially if they get a man and the man is married and you have an outside child, they refuse to let the man feed his child. And most of them, they get the man, they know the man is married, they break up his marriage life and have the wife, you know, not getting nothing for her children, and they want to enjoy everything. So it is high time for these women to let the man stay with their wife, encourage them if they have a problem with their wife, to encourage them to stay with their wife and don't break up the marriage life because it is not good.
Okay, thank you very much.
What goes around comes around. It is not good, and especially they have to let the man feed his outside child. If they know he have a child out of wedlock, if another woman, they don't want that child to come at their home or take care of the child. And the child is seeing that that's bring a hatred with the father and the lady. So she have to, the same way she wants good for her children, she have to go on good for the man children too also.
All right, thank you very much for that. I'm really glad that our caller actually said the end bit, because initially it sounded like she was just talking about something that a child perhaps isn't going to be the one that's facing the repercussions, but she ended up with the strong point that and it's a very sensitive situation. It's a very, very sensitive situation, because at the end of the day, it's appearing sometimes when these situations happen that the child who did not ask to be born is the one who is suffering. The child, and perhaps the other person, the mother or the person who is married. I don't know if anyone else wants to comment on that.
Well, you see, I think one of the things that we as adults have to understand, as you've just said, a child is not responsible for the status of its parents when it was born. But the child is here, and we have to do our best by that child. And I think this is what the caller was saying. You know, whether the child is born to never married parents or within a marital union, the child is still a child, and the child does have the right to be looked after by both its parents.
Okay, let's go back to the phone. Thank you for calling Dolor Factor Live. Good night.
Hello, yeah. You take too long to answer the phone, that's the first. But one thing
I apologize.
One thing I want to say. I was brought up in a home where my father was never really cared about. And now I have 2 kids with my darling wife. And nothing I would love in this world is to let my children know how much I love them. And I will do anything for that. So what I'm saying is, there's nothing wrong. I feel to myself that I, as a parent, born and raised with my kids in a home where my father was never there for me to an extent. And now I am a father. I have 2 kids with my darling wife, and I would want to be there for them as much as my father was never there for me.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Thank
so
you.
I want to say to the fathers out there that knows that I have a mom that never told me she loved me. And I don't make that a problem. And I want to say to the fathers out there that have the kids and it doesn't love them, they have a problem. Because there's nothing more I used to look for in my life for my father to at least give me a hug one day. I never get a hug from my mother. I never get a hug from my father. I never get a hug from none of my siblings. Kiss me and tell me they love me. And never get a hug from them or they never be there for me as a parent to say that, yes, you're my son. It doesn't matter. You were born out of wedlock, but the fact is you still exist and you're still there, and I love you. And I never hated them for that because I don't know, the life as men we're living. We understand that, nonsense happens sometimes. But what I want to say out there in this world of St. Lucia today is, fathers, hug them, kiss them, hold them, and let them know you love them, because this is very important for the child's world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ramila, why is it that some men who have not had fathers present can show love to their children and other men can't?
Well, first of all, I'd like to really thank the caller for his very moving words. I really felt it for him. And, here's an example of the question that you have just posed. He was raised within a family that was non-tactile. His father was not around, but he has been determined to be there for his children. And you can hear the love and the determination in his voice.
And you still haven't answered the
I still
question,
haven't
and we
answered
have
it,
another
yeah.
call.
Yes.
So I'd like you to answer the question at some point, but let's go back to our call. Hello, this is Dolor Factor Live.
Good night, Zelia. How are
Good night,
you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good.
Good.
Good night, Zine. How are you, Zine?
I'm good. How are you?
Nice to see you on the show tonight.
Thank you. It's good to be on the show.
Good night to Mrs. King.
Good evening.
All right. Now, in all the family thing we're talking about tonight, very, very interesting topic. Because if I have to start about family, I could go on for the night. But, one thing that can bring about conflict and vexation in family is the fact that a lot of parents want to make up the children's choices for them when it comes to the spouse. And sometimes they don't like your girlfriend, or they don't like your boyfriend or husband. And that can bring a lot of confusion in the family. That's one of the main things that causes problems. You see, parents don't like the person you choose for yourself, and for some of them no reason. Some of them have reason, but some of them no reason, and they get to hate that person. And the lady herself or the man don't want to go nowhere near that, that parent, nowhere near the family, because the family don't like them. So that causes a lot of confusion in the family, that part of it. And I have no idea how it can be solved. I don't know. Maybe some of your experts might know.
It's one word, darling. It's one word how it can be perhaps starting to solve. Communication.
Yes.
I know communication seems to be the key for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Most
Definitely.
So how do you come to your parent and communicate the fact that that's the man you love, and they don't like the man for no reason? They don't like his height, for instance. Celia, my mother did not like Indians. So I couldn't tell her my boyfriend is an Indian. That's already trouble. Because she don't like Indians. So that's her problem. She don't like Indians. Why must I hate Indians too? You understand? So that alone is a barrier, the fact that she don't like Indians. She already don't like him just because he's an Indian.
Yes.
You see, that's already problems there. So how do you communicate the fact that that's who I'm in love with, an Indian? You have to accept it. And all the time she will just keep on rejecting that person. And that will cause problems. I will not even want to go by my mother's house with my husband, because there's problems when I reject. She don't like Indians. You understand?
So this has been going on for a very long time. So do you speak to your mother now?
Well, she's not there now, Julia.
Oh, okay.
She's already passed. But I'm saying that was one of the problems.
Okay.
She didn't like Indians, right? So
Okay.
I'm just saying, I did try to communicate to her about that, for sure. Tell her that, if you don't like dashing, that doesn't mean I must not be dashing, because you hate dashing. You don't like Indians, you have your qualms, your problems with Indians. That doesn't mean I cannot have, And the fact that he's Indian, she just don't like Indian. So then you find problems in that area where parents want to make choices for children. And that bring about a lot of mother-in-law issues and You know,
Yeah,
that
we could
kind
go
of-
on and on.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
but
one
we
of
get
the
your point.
aspects that can bring problems in
Yes.
family. All right, dear?
Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
calling.
Good night.
Okay, good night. I know, Rumili, we have lots of questions, but we're due for a break, and we've got lots
Lots
of
of calls.
lots of calls and lots of things coming on
Yes.
phones and on everything. But I have to say that we've closed entries for tonight's giveaways. This is Dolor Factor Live. Please stay with us. When we come back, we'll try to answer some of the questions you've put through to us. So we'll see you soon.